Nothing beats slaying a monster, being rewarded with its carcass or corpse, taking said carcass or corpse to a specialist, if you will, and them being able to pull a awesome, otherwise unattainable item for your crew or mercenary group, army, whatever you want to call it, to utilize in battle. Nothing beats that. It is a phenomenal feeling. It is a fantastic system in Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, and today we're going to be talking about how it can be utilized by you and to benefit you, your army, and to get you a step ahead in the game. With that said, my name's Soul. This is about Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, and obviously we're going to be talking about poaching. First, let's talk about the general. Poaching is a thief skill available at the beginning of the game. Killing a monster with the poach ability equipped allows you to receive a carcass of that monster to later trade in for an item or to sell it. Quite a few items are only available through poaching, and other items are available earlier than they would be otherwise through poaching. Not only that, those items are also available at half the price they would be otherwise. So it's a huge win-win. This is all done through the Poacher's Den, which is not available until Chapter 3. So you may begin poaching before Chapter 3, but you will not be able to tap into it and utilize it to its full extent until you will get to Chapter 3 and unlock that Poacher's Den. With that said, we're going to be going over poaching mechanics, best ways to poach, random battles, breeding, and then of course what each monster has and where you can find them. Let's get right into it. Poaching mechanics. So, each time you come across or encounter a monster, you obviously want to kill it. You need to have your character utilizing the poach ability equipped in a support slot. You need to attack that monster and kill it with a basic attack. It has to be basic. If you use a special ability or a spell, it will not count. I've tested quite a few of them and I haven't got any of them to work. Just double checking if anything changed in the Ivalice Chronicles, and so far I haven't found anything. Now, I will say break weapons, armor, things like that do count as basic attacks, but that's because there's no armor at play or items to play on monsters, so I'm assuming that's why. I don't exactly know, but those do work. With that said, you have a 12% chance upon killing the monster with a basic attack of receiving a rare item, or a rare carcass, sorry. You'll know if you get the rare carcass because it'll say you've got so-and-so's carcass, monster, and then it'll have a nice little star symbol there, signifying that it's rare. If you don't get the star symbol when you read the carcass name, then that means you didn't receive it. Now, in the old school days, you had to completely backtrack, retry, and start all over. But now, in the Ivalice Chronicles, you have autosave after every action, or every turn. So, my opinion, and you play the game your way, is just simply hit that load button, go to that autosave, and retry your turn. Poaching again. Continue to do so until you get the desired item. Just spam it. There's no harm, no foul. You get to play the game your way. If you're not into that, there's nothing wrong with that either. But this is a great, simple way that's now a built-in part of the game for you to easily ensure that you get those rare items. And trust me, you want to do it. At 12%, it's not likely you're going to get those rare items. And in my opinion, this is not fact, but my opinion, in Tactician mode especially, I don't think that those odds are as listed. So when it says 12%, it feels more like 2%. Best ways to poach. Ranged attacks are incredibly convenient, whether it's a bow, crossbow, or my favorite, the gun. The gun has 100% accuracy, but regardless, you're able to hit them at a range so you can work those monsters down using your various abilities and skills to ensure they're within range of those monsters dying, get them to that point, and then allow your poacher to finish them off from a nice high perched position. It's fantastic, and it's really enjoyable to poach in this way. Another really good way to poach that I can recommend is Ninja. They have an innate dual wield ability, so throw on your Ninja, you have high speed, great mobility, throw on those reflexes, whatever it is you want, Go at it. Get in there with your dual wield ninja blades and slap up those monsters and do devastating damage. If there's other ways you like to use to poach, feel free to drop down in the description, or in the comments, and make it known. But those are my 2 preferred ways to poach and what I would recommend others to use. Now let's talk about random battles. Random battles are great in that you can find a plethora of different monsters. It's not the most convenient way to poach though. If this is how you want to play and this is what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. If you happen to come across a monster in a random battle that you want to poach, by all means do it. But this is not the most convenient or best way to poach, but it absolutely does still work in random battles regardless. So have at it. The best way to poach is breeding. And that's what we're going to talk about now. It is the most convenient way to get those monsters that you want, to have access to them, build a number of them up, and to take them into a battle with you and just kill them. Even if they're your own ally, it works all the same, which is phenomenal. It requires the abilities Tame or Entice, and so you want to get that off of your Orator. And then for each monster you have, there's a chance that they will lay an egg. Now, of course, each monster has 3 tiers. There's tier 1, 2, and then 3. Tier 3 being the rarest form of that monster, tier 2 being obviously in between. Now, from what I have seen, monsters only lay 1 egg at a time. So you may have 20 monsters in your army, but I have only seen 1 egg active at a time so far in the Ivalice Chronicles. Let me know in the comments if you've seen something different. I've been playing quite a bit. I haven't seen anything different. With that said, your tier 1 monsters can spawn tier 2 monsters, and your tier 2 monsters can spawn tier 3 and 2 monsters. So it's pretty phenomenal stuff. I believe they can also spawn tier 1, but I'm not positive in the Ivalice Chronicles. Now, your tier 3 monsters, of course, can spawn tier 3 monsters, but they're actually more likely to spawn tier 2 monsters. So, your best bet, if you're seeking a tier 3 monster to poach, is to actually keep tier 2 monsters in your rosters. So I'm going to say that again, just to make sure it's clear. Your best bet to getting a tier 3 monster is to keep tier 2 monsters in your army, because they have a higher chance of spawning tier 3 monsters than tier 3 monsters do. Okay. Once again, remember, I've only seen 1 egg at a time, so it really kind of pays to clear out your army. Make sure you don't have monsters that you don't necessarily want. And if you're not interested in poaching them, be sure to just let them go. Don't hang on to them for too long. With that all said, when you're finally ready to poach, take them into battle. I personally like to use those monsters to fight that battle for me and to clear out some of those enemies. Maybe bring 2 allies or whatnot. Who cares? To keep some sustain, heals, raise, you name it. And then when the battle's close to an end, poach those monsters and finish them off. Or you can just go in and finish them off right away. Play it your way. Do what you think is best. Let us know down in the comments what you think works and help everybody else out. I love this community, and so I'm really eager to see what everybody says. Also, when it comes to that breeding, you can't forget, when you have those monsters in your army, they're going to do what they do naturally. You don't even have to look. You don't need multiples of those monsters to breed. You only need 1. With 1 Chocobo, you will get eggs. You will multiply your Chocobos. Same with all monsters. They do not need a partner to breed. And all you need to do is spend time moving through the map, going through battles, whatever it may be. You just continue to do your thing, progressing game days in the game as it is tracked, and you will progressively increase your army size, breeding more and more monsters as you go. Now, let's take a look at each monster, where we can find them, and what they offer. First, we're going to start with good old Behemoth. And so right here we can see Behemoth, when poached, offers the Guardian Bracelet and the Panther Skin Bag. Very decent stuff. Now, the Behemoth cannot be found until Chapter 4 and through random battles. As you can see right here, it can be found in the Zeklaw's Desert, Belius Tor, Belius Swell, Mount Bervinia, Dugara, Finnith Creek, Beta Wasteland, and then Mount Germanus and Lake Poskas. So you see these right here where it says, it shows this door symbol. It's showing you that you need to leave that location and enter those locations in order to get the chance to spawn these monsters. So if you're leaving from Lionel Castle to Belias Tor, you have a chance to spawn the behemoth. Otherwise, you might not. So be aware of that. Moving right into the next one, let's take a look at Behemoth King, Tier 2. And so Behemoth King, when poached, can give you the Shirshi, which is a fantastic perfume, definitely worth getting if you can, and the Artemis Bow, a fantastic bow. Now the Behemoth King can be found through random battles in Chapter 4, which it says right here, Belias Tor, and then Mount Bervenia, Beta Sand Waste, and Lake Postcas. Far less locations than the regular Behemoth, but it's a Tier 2 monster, so we kind of expect that. Next is the Dark Behemoth, and so the Dark Behemoth can drop the Wizard's Rod and the Stone Shooter. I believe this is the only way to get the Stone Shooter, so if you're really interested in getting it, this is how you're going to get it, is through this Dark Behemoth. It can be found in random battles in Chapter 4 at the Belias Tor and Lake Postcas. Very rare monster indeed. Next, let's take a look at the Bomb. Bomb drops Flame Burst bombs, and then of course the Flame Rod. It can be found in a plethora of locations, starting in Chapter 1 all the way up to Chapter 4. You're going to see a ton of these things and all over the place. They are not rare at all. Next is a Tier 2 bomb called the Grenade. This is the snow. It drops the Snow Melt bomb and the Flame Mace when poached. You can be found in Chapter 1 as well, all the way up to Chapter 4, and also is not rare at all in my opinion. It can be found at all of these locations listed on the screen right now. Then coming in last is the Tier 3 bomb, the Exploder. He drops the Spark Bomb and the Flame Shield from its carcasses when poached, and then can be found at these locations and only in Chapter 4. Next, let's have a look at the Chocobo. When poached, it can give you a Phoenix Down and or a High Potion. And Chocobos can be found as early as Chapter 1 and all over the place afterwards. They also are not rare at all and are very easy to find. The Black Chocobo is the Tier 2 version of this, and it drops Eye Drops and X Potions. I almost fumbled that, right? Eye Drops. It also can be found all over the place, but starting in Chapter 2. And then finally you have the Red Chocobo, which offers a Remedy or the Barret, which is its poach items. The Barret being the coveted item there. It's a very good item, nothing wrong with it, and you should be able to get this fairly early on if possible, but yeah, this is a great one. It can be found as soon as Chapter 2 and many other places afterwards in Chapter 4. Next is the Dragon. The Dragon offers the Jade Armlet and the Hydra Scale Bag. These suckers right here can be found as soon as Chapter 1. They are a very rare encounter, and then of course they can be found in Chapter 2 and then Chapter 4 as well. 2 and 3, mind you, but Chapter 4 at all of these locations. The Tier 2 variant of the Dragon is the Blue Dragon, and this offers Kashmir or the Dragon Rod through its poach and can be found in Chapter 2 and 3 as well as these locations in Chapter 4. And then last is the Red Dragon. That's the Tier 3 version of the Dragon. It drops the Sortilege and the Dragon Whisker through its poach. These are really good items. That is arguably the strongest lance in the game. And then the Sortilege is mega useful as an accessory. These can be found in Chapter 4 at the following locations. Next is the Dryad. Dryads offer Eye Drops and then the Healing Staff when poached, which is a fairly rare item. These Dryads can be found as soon as Chapter 2 or 3, and of course can be found throughout Chapter 4 at all of these locations. Next is a Tier 2 version, the Treant. This offers the Golden Staff and the Fairy Harp through its poach. This is one of the only ways you can get the Fairy Harp, and yeah, it can be found at Chapter 2 and 3, and then of course in a couple areas in Chapter 4, as you see listed here. And then right here you have the Elder Treant. Its common poach is the Protect Ring, but its rare poach is the Defender, which is a phenomenal knight sword with really good evasion, and is a coveted item that you absolutely want to chase. There's only a few of these offered, and this is one of the only ways to get it. Now these Elder Treants can be found in Chapter 4 at these 4 locations: Oragai Woods, Grog Heights, Yugyu Woods, and then Finnith Creek. Next is the Floating Eye. This offers the Shuriken and the Platinum Dagger for its poach, and these can be found as soon as Chapter 1 and then throughout the whole course of the game at all of these locations. This is largely one that isn't really worth poaching in my opinion. Next is the Ahriman, and so this gives you the Fuma Shuriken and then the Air Knife. These can be found in Chapter 2 and 3, and then of course in these locations throughout Chapter 4. Next is the Plague Horror. It offers the Yagyu Darkroot as its common poach and its rare poach, the Zwil Straight Blade, giving you an early way to get that, and this can only be found in Chapter 4 at these 3 locations: Fovam Wind Heights, Belius Swell, and Mount Bervinia. I just want to reiterate on that Zwil Straight Blade, I say an early way to get it. The only other way you're getting this is by catching it from high level ninjas, and so this effectively is the only way to get it in the game prior to what, level 96 I believe. So this is the way to try to get it if you're interested. Next is the Ghoul. They offer Ethers and Kunais, which is a ninja blade. And then of course these can be found in Chapter 2 and 3, and then Chapter 4 at these locations. Next is the Ghast. This is the Tier 2 version, where it offers high potions and the main Goosh as its rare item. And these can be found as soon as Chapter 2 and 3, and of course throughout Chapter 4 at these locations. And then is the Tier 3 version of it, the Revenant. This offers you the High Ether and the Mithril Gun. These can be found as soon as Chapter 4 at all of these locations, and sadly isn't offering something exceptional in its poach. This is one that I personally don't think is worth your time. Next is the Goblin. They offer potions as a common poach and high potions as the rare poach. And of course, you've seen these. They're all over the place, starting Chapter 1 and then throughout the whole course of the game. They are everywhere. The Tier 2 version is the Dark Goblin, which offers a common high potion as its poach and the rare antidote. Yeah, that's weird. As the rare poach, and then it can be found as soon as Chapter 1 and then throughout the whole game in all chapters. Then comes in with the Gobbledyguck as the Tier 3 version of the Goblin. It offers the common poach of the Mage Masher and the rare poach of the Ancient Sword. And so this can be found in Chapter 2 and 3 at Belius Swell, and then of course Chapter 4 at all these locations. This is a way to get a slight edge on an Ancient Sword, but it honestly isn't a huge deal. They become available really soon afterwards. Next is the Hydra. This is a Tier 1 version of this monster right here. It poaches the Blood Sword as the common poach and the Scorpion Tail as the rare poach. This is one of the only ways for you to get the Blood Sword. And then of course this can be found in the random battle of Chapter 4 at Belius Tor when leaving Lionel Castle. This is one of the few ways you're going to be able to get at this monster in the few areas that it's highly worth pursuing. Next is the Great Hydra, the Tier 2 variant, and this offers the Septime as a common poach and the Rubber Suit as a rare poach. Highly valuable items from a very rare monster. These are highly sought after, and I would recommend you to pursue these over others, possibly even. Of course, it's up to you, but this is something you definitely want. Of course, this can be found in a random battle Chapter 4, only at the Belius Tor. Then we have the Tiamat, the Tier 3 version of this monster, and so it offers as a common poach the Wormweave Silk, which is a fairly rare item, And then you have the Whale Whisker as its rare poach, which is the strongest pole in the game. This monster is found in a random battle at Bellius Swell and the Golgalodo Gallows exit. So definitely something worth picking up and trying to go after if interested. Next is the Jura Aevis, and so this offers the common poach of the Potion and the rare poach of Rubber Boots. These can be found all over the place starting chapter 1 and throughout the whole course of the game. They're a very common monster. Next is the Steelhawk. This has a common poach of the Phoenix Down and a rare poach of the Hunting Bow, and these can be found starting in chapter 2 and 3, and then of course can be found throughout the whole course of the game from that point on. Fairly common after that. Then you have the Cockatrice. That is the tier 3 version of this bird. It offers the common poach of the Gold Needle, definitely not really worth, but the rare poach, the Feather Weave Cloak, is a fairly nice item, and it might be a way for you to get access to it slightly early, but this bird becomes available to find in random battles in chapter 4, so that Feather Weave Cloak's coming regardless. It just happens to be a little bit of a ways to get it early. Next is the Malboro. This bad boy offers the Platinum Dagger as a common poach and the Ice Shield as a rare poach. This can be found as soon as chapter 2 and 3, and then of course throughout chapter 4 at all of these locations. The tier 2 variant is the Ochu. The Ochu offers the new Kai armband, and then the rare poach, the Chameleon Robe, which is a fairly nice item right there. And it is only available to find in chapter 4 through random battles at these locations, and sadly makes it not the best poach in the world because you get access to those chameleon robes otherwise without it. Next is the Great Malboro. This offers the common poach of Elixir and the rare poach, the Omnilex. And so these can be found at the Finnith Creek, exiting Zeltania Castle through a random battle, and this is one that I would recommend poaching. You gotta love elixirs, right? But that Omnilex is only really able to be found through ninjas throwing them otherwise, so this is definitely one that you want to try to get. Next is the Pig. These are amongst some of the rarest monsters in the game and are highly valuable, highly worth pursuing, and I'd recommend you get at them any opportunity you can. They do have a chance of occurring in story battles, or appearing, I should say, not occurring. But regardless, get them. If you can, and you're able to, get them. Prioritize getting an orator, and soon, so that you can get these. Definitely worth it. But anyways, the common poach is Maiden's Kiss, but the rare poach is the Katusha, but that I believe is called the Hairband in Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. Regardless, very, very good item. Definitely a way for you to get it, and very early on. It can be found as a rare find in chapter 4 in the Dorovoldar Marsh. I can't say that, but regardless, it can be found there. That is really late to get it, but still a very valuable item that you can get off of it. Now with the Pig, you can find it as soon as chapter 2 when you go through the Chigolith Finlands. It is a fairly rare encounter. It's not set to be in that battle, so you may have to back up, load, and go back in and try to get it. If you have that orator, tame, whatever available at this point, I would highly recommend you doing it and getting this monster early on. And then of course it's available through a story battle in Finnith Creek at chapter 4, and then of course side battles, side quests I should say, you can find it at the Ghoul and Coeurl Ridge, and then in Terminus. This is a pretty rare monster that you want to basically get any opportunity you can, because it's so valuable. It's such a good monster. Next is the Swine, and so the Swine on its common poach offers the Chantage, and so this is a phenomenal item you absolutely want all day every day. And the rare item, the Nagnarok, which is a pretty fun item. I haven't utilized it myself. I've never taken the time to get one, or I've gotten it in the past, so I'm really eager to go after it this run in my current playthrough that I'm doing. But regardless, this is one of the only ways you have access to get this sword. Not the only, but one of the only. And yeah, The Swine can be found at that same marsh, Chapter 4 random battle, but is very, very rare otherwise. Next is a Tier 3 version of the pig, and that is the Wild Boar. The common poach for the Wild Boar is the ribbon, coveted headpiece right here, that I believe everybody can equip in the Ivalice Chronicles now, and it gives complete immunity to status effects. It is massive, and so this is the only way that you have access to get this. And then you have the Falling Star bag as its rare poach, which is meh. You know, maybe you like bags. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but for me, it's not a huge deal. But that ribbon, though, man, you want those big time. Now, this is a monster that you cannot find otherwise. You're only going to get this monster through breeding, so make sure you do your best to breed. Next is the Piscodaemon, and so this is a tentacle head, as I like to call them, right? A Mindflayer. But regardless, its common poach is the Echo Herb, and its rare poach is the High Potion. And these bad boys you find as soon as Chapter 1, and then of course throughout the whole course of the game. They are fairly common to come by. The Squidraken is the Tier 2 variant of this, offering the Shoulder Cape as a common poach, but a Sleep Blade as the rare poach. And these bad boys can be found as soon as Chapter 1, which gives you a nice early way to get that Sleep Blade. And then, of course, you can find it throughout the whole course of the game. Fairly common monster to come across. Tier 3 is the Mindflayer. They're all Mindflayers in my head, tentacle heads. But anyways, the Mindflayer, Tier 3, blah. Common poach, high ether, rare poach, vampire cape. This gives you a nice, decent way to get that vampire cape slightly early in the game, as these become available to find in Chapter 2 and 3, and then, of course, in various locations in Chapter 4. This is not a rare monster, in my opinion. They're fairly common. Next is the Red Panther. The common poach is Antidote, rare poach being Battle Boots. And then, of course, you find these right away at the beginning of the game, all over the place from Chapter 1 all the way through Chapter 4. You see them everywhere all the time. Very, very common. Next is the Tier 2 variant, the Coeurl. And so this has the common poach of a Gold Needle and the rare poach of the Germanus Boots. These become available in Chapter 1. So it's a nice early way for you to get those Germanus Boots if you're interested in really pursuing it. Of course, it's Chapter 3 when you get it. You kind of get them anyways. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, same, different. Not the best. Regardless, they are very common. You can find them all over the place. Yeah. And then Tier 3 is the Vampire Cat. It can be poached into holy water. And then, of course, the rare poach is the Crocodile Bag. These can be found beginning in Chapter 2 and 3, and then throughout the rest of the game, throughout Chapter 4. Next is the Skeleton, which can be poached in the holy water, and the rare poach being the Ether. Of course, you've seen these things right away from basically the beginning of the game, Chapter 1, throughout the whole game. They're very common. Next is the Bonesnatch, which has a common poach of the High Potion and a rare poach of the Partisan. These bad boys are available in Chapter 1 as well and can be found throughout all points of the game. Very common monster. Then is the Skeleton Fiend with a common poach of the Mage Cloak and the rare poach of the Elven Cloak. And these can be found in Chapter 4 throughout all these areas in Chapter 4. Once you're in Chapter 4, they're fairly common to find. And in my opinion, they're not really worth poaching in the first place. Next is the Wisenkin, the Tier 1 version of this monster, which has a common poach of the Battle Axe and a rare poach of the Giant's Axe. And this can be found as soon as Chapter 1. In my opinion, they're fairly common to find and not too difficult to encounter. Next is the Tier 2 version, the Minotaur, which offers the Coral Sword as the common poach and the rare poach being Slasher. These bad boys can be found in Chapter 2 and 3, and then of course throughout Chapter 4, and are somewhat common, in my opinion, to find. Next is the Secret, And so this is the tier 3 version of that, Wisenkin or Minotaur. But anyways, the common Poach is the Holy Lance, which is a phenomenal weapon that creates a lot of opportunities for some fun. Just want to throw it out there. Absolutely love this item. And then the rare Poach is the Ivory Pole, which is honestly kind of surprising. I'd expect that to be the other way around personally, but whatever. And then you can find these in random battles throughout Chapter 4 in the Zeklaw's Desert, Fulvaham Windflats, Belius Tor, and the Dorvoldar Marsh. These are somewhat hard to encounter, but not too hard if you just keep at it. And there you have it. That is my poaching guide. Information on what I hope helps you and enables you to poach and to be highly successful in your poaching efforts in Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Has this been beneficial? Are there things that I missed? Or you have any tips or tricks that maybe can help the rest of the community that you would like to share? I'd absolutely love to see it and hear it. I am not the foremost expert on this topic, and I don't pretend to be. I don't want to be. I just want to help. And I want to have a place or advocate for a place for the community to get together and to help others. And so this is an amazing game. I want everybody to enjoy it. I want a sequel. I want a prequel. I want DLC. I want mods. Please, I want all of it. So I'm going to keep advocating for this game and putting out as much content as I can on it so that our community just grows and is enamored and has more and more fun with this game. And yeah, poaching. I hope it's beneficial for you. With that said, huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. You guys and gals are the ones that keep the lights on and allow the content to keep flowing, so I'm really, really grateful for you. You mean the world to me. Make sure you check out the links down below for not only my Patreon if you're interested in supporting, but also for our Discord, where we talk all things Final Fantasy and then some. Make sure you drop me a like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. I'm grateful that you are here, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, I will catch you later. Bye.